The story behind the name is pretty simple because I like names that say something. I've seen, and my greater thinking behind that is that if you go to competitors' websites, you actually don't know what they do, what are their products. If you go to the website, you really have to understand pretty quickly what the offering is, and the name is part of that. So if you're Nike, then you have a name or that everyone knows. If you're not, then you should really go for a name that tells you something about the company. And a good example is Formula 1, because if you see a face shot of Kevin, it says admin by request. There isn't an IT person in the world who would know what that is. So in the same way, it's like the goal was to use a name that would say what we actually do. And you can see this in our product line where our products are called something that you know from the name. For example, Secure Remote is officially Secure Remote Access because remote access is what people know what it is. So if you see the name Secure Remote Access, you know exactly what it is. In the same way with our Endpoint Privilege Management, you know exactly what that is. So it's simply a matter of having a name that makes sense and you can identify what we do from the name itself.